Hello everyone! Welcome to Reason Pleasantview Round 1, Episode 18, Part 3. We are still in Sim State University, but this time we've got the shortened semester mod and we have 4 households instead of 5. And we are starting this sub-rotation with the Phoenix household. Looks like Jimmy changed his ways completely. He kept on rolling once about skill points. He also wanted to be BFFs with Jane, so the reason was clear. I tried to make him study mechanical, but it turned out that he had to go to his final exam. Meanwhile, Gavin was working on his charisma skill and he was also dreaming about Ashley. I changed this dormie's outfit because he used to look like Joshua Rubin. By the way, he is the dormie that Eric Swain absolutely hates. I also noticed that Jimmy feared the death of Jane. I believe that out of all Jimmy's multiple best friends, Jane is the one who has a special place in his heart. Jimmy returned from his final exam with an A+. That was his first well-deserved grade. I mean, he'd been sober that time. I used to think the dormie Eric hated was just as mean as Eric himself, but I was wrong. That guy was very friendly with the llama mascot and other dormies, so we can conclude that it's always Eric who is the true aggressor. As Jimmy was studying mechanical, I was browsing through his relationship panel looking for his possible 5th best friend. It's such a pity that he isn't friends with Sam anymore. And as soon as Jimmy fulfilled his want about getting a skill point, he rolled a 1 to write his term paper. I can finally see that this guy is interested in school. Gavin got more motivated too. He wanted to complete his sophomore year and do his assignment. But first of all, he called his sister Ginger to boast about his success and make a plan to save Gabriella and Gallagher from the orphanage. Apparently, their plan involved a lot of toys. Gavin wanted to write his term paper too, so I made him study mechanical to expand his meter. And Jimmy decided to take out trash produced by the entire dormitory. Maybe he was feeling guilty because half of it came from his own parties. Gavin invited Ashley over and again they were getting along greatly. Looks like they have very similar interests. As Gavin still couldn't stop thinking about his assignment, I made him do it while Ashley was dancing alone upstairs. Soon Gavin joined him. They danced together a little, played darts, and then Gavin, charmed by Ashley's angelic looks, proceeded to flirting. We cannot blame Gavin for anything. He didn't know that Ashley'd been seeing Ty Bubbler all that time. But we can definitely blame Ashley, who accepted the flirt. On the other hand, he and Ty weren't dating officially. Anyway, Gavin and Ashley got a crush on each other. Only late at night, Gavin began to write his term paper, but Ashley wasn't going to let him focus on it. He turned on the stereo and tried to direct Gavin's attention to his dance. Sounds like an evil plan to me. Anyway, Gavin hadn't finished his term paper. He got a logic skill point instead. Time was running out for Gavin, who was still at risk of getting another B-, but Jimmy had a lot of time at his hands. He had 1 more day to get ready for his final exam, and he only needed 1 skill point of logic. Jimmy actually is way too far behind other students, so I'll need to make him go out next episode. Now let's play the Trivar sorority. They have a new family bio again. Tiffany's getting way too much attention these days if you ask Heather. It is her who must be the first sister to get to Custer. But what if Brittany learns about her plan? Sam Thomas had a want to appreciate Joshua. I think she is ready to move on after Jimmy's betrayal. She also gained her next creativity skill point. I made her study cooking, but again she had to go to her class. Looks like the university authorities don't want Sam to learn how to cook. I also decided that Brittany needed to get rid of her crush on Jimmy. She was going steady with Eric Swain, and as a serious girl, she didn't want to have anything on the side. Additionally, as a neat girl, she was kind of repulsed by Jimmy because of his ruined reputation. So she invited Jimmy over and asked him to be just friends. But Brittany had to go to her class, so Heather was left alone to chat with Jimmy. And she had 2 bolts of chemistry with him, by the way. Heather also used Brittany's absence to buy a love potion to seduce Custer. But I guess both Custer and Brittany saw that, so it wasn't a big surprise when Brittany began to yell at Heather right after she'd returned from her class. Well, Heather needed to cheat, otherwise Tiffany would snatch Custer from her. Heather also continued to feed Custer's flame of jealousy by talking to Jimmy. Who knows, maybe she won't even need that love potion at all. Sam was talking to her informant and Pinot Plaza dorms, and Jimmy, who was listening in, understood that his ex had already begun to date another guy. Blame yourself, Jimmy. Blame yourself. The cow mascot who Brittany wanted to be friends with attacked her, so she had to give up on her want. Apparently, their mutual hatred towards Heather wasn't enough to make them friends with each other. Sam somehow managed to get 1 cooking skill point, but it still wasn't enough. Brittany was talking to Martin Rubin on the phone, and she became best friends with him. Poor Martin. Being besties with Brittany smells bad. After Heather had returned from her class, she invited Custer Nova over. She called him upstairs to keep him away from other girls, and after some flirting they fell in love with each other. But she still wasn't sure if it would be enough to lure the intelligent Custer into her bed, so she secretly drank the love potion. After that she made out with Custer, fulfilling one of his wants, and then they proceeded into Heather's bedroom. As they were doing their dirty business, Tiffany was just 1 wall from them, but she probably didn't hear any suspicious noises because the TV was too loud. As for Brittany, she'd been awake for some time grabbing a box of pizza. Strangely enough, when Heather attempted to caress Custer after the woohoo, he pushed her hand away. I think he only slept with Heather because of her vast experience in woohoo. He just wanted to absorb the knowledge, nothing more. Anyway, Brittany saw Custer with Heather and slapped him on his face, calling him a liar and a hypocrite. After that, she attacked Heather while cowardly Custer chose to save his own skin. Tiffany ran out from the bathroom to watch the girls pull each other's hair out. Sam didn't even wake up. I believe she's a heavy sleeper. And of course, Brittany won the fight. The old rivals immediately became enemies. And after all that mess, Heather went to bed to heal her headache and Brittany to her final exam. By the way, I kind of feel sorry for Brittany. Custer had definitely lied to her about his want to concentrate on his studies. And Tiffany's attitude towards Custer suffered too. She understood by the girls' screams that they'd been fighting over Mr. Popular, and she couldn't get how such a nice guy like Custer could let 2 girls fight over him. Additionally, Tiffany couldn't stop thinking about that goodbye kiss Custer had with her several months ago. If he did like her, why hadn't he said that to the girls to stop their fight? Why had he left the Trevor house like that without even trying to solve the problem? Brittany returned from her final exam with a B+. She graduated with a GPA of 3.6. And I decided to keep her around for the next episode, as she would definitely want to take revenge on Heather and throw a graduation party. Now we are heading to the fraternity. The day began at 8 a.m. when Eric woke up to go to his class. Even after his recent woohoo with Heather, Custer didn't have any wants about her. He only cared about getting skill points, so I made him study cooking. Romantic Kevin had a want to see a shooting star. Practice your speech, Kevin, that's more pressing. Meanwhile, Custer got the necessary skill point and went to his class. So Ashley, who was dreaming about Gavin, decided that it was a perfect opportunity to invite his new crush over while Ty Bubbler's best friend was away and couldn't learn about his cheating. Unfortunately, I missed Gavin's first kiss, but I was around for the rest of the date. Ashley chose not to hang out on the sidewalk for too long because he cared for his reputation. He was romancing Gavin in the backyard instead. And of course, he missed the moment when Custer returned home and invited his friend Ty over to blow bubbles together. While Custer was waiting for Ty, Ashley woohooed with Gavin in the hot tub. But when the two of them entered the living room, Ty smelled something fishy and abandoned the bubble blower only to notice his lover flirt with another guy. He got really mad and slapped Ashley. Of course, the latter slapped him back and said that he'd never promised him anything. Deeply wounded, Ty ran away and Ashley said goodbye to Gavin. Joshua hadn't want to write his term paper, so I made him do it and sent Ashley to work on his charisma. Apparently, Brittany decided to visit her boyfriend. Eric wasn't particularly happy about it, but he also hadn't had any woohoo for almost 2 years. So he invited Brittany in his bedroom to show off his paintings and his woohoo skills. But as soon as Eric's biological need was met, he insulted Brittany and even physically assaulted her. He poked her and slapped her all over her face. He would have definitely beaten her up like he'd done with the cheerleader if Joshua and Ashley hadn't ran into his bedroom and stopped him. Here is what I think of that situation. Eric is a sexist and a horrible person who believes that only men are allowed to have any kind of sexual experience. That's why he got mad after he'd realized that Brittany wasn't a virgin. The guys were having a dinner together, but Eric was hiding in his bedroom. Probably he got ashamed of his behavior after Ashley had lectured him. As Joshua was finishing his meal, Sam Thomas appeared on the lot with a gift for him. She brought an electro dance sphere. With such a cool device, Joshua could easily raise his fun and body skill at the same time. You see, Eric, if you're nice with girls, they can be really useful. After that brain shake, Joshua quickly finished his term paper and went to his final exam. He returned with an A+. And some of you may wonder why I make Joshua study at all if his original bio suggested that he was dumb. Well, first of all, I think that being Martin's brother, he should be somewhat smart too. Second, I think the choice of major matters here. He probably did find his vocation. And finally, as an active fortune aspiration sim, he is only studying to wake up rich one day. Ashley had 2 hours until his final exam, and as he was still at risk of not passing it, I made him do his assignment. And now there is only one household left, the bright one. Allegra's decided that it's a great idea for her boyfriend Jared and their best friend Ty to move in with her and Martin. The problem is Martin typically prefers to be around smart sims. Both Allegra and Jared had to leave their bed earlier than they expected. Allegra went to her final exam and Jared went to his class. I changed their personal bios and here is Allegra's. Allegra is a bleeding heart romantic, but you wouldn't know that from looking at her. She hopes that Jared feels the same about her as she feels about him. It's pretty hard to see it from his looks too. As for Jared's bio, it reads, Jared's relationship with Allegra has changed him a lot. Some sims still say they are not the best match for each other, but Jared couldn't care less about rumors. He is used to being talked about. Martin's bio has also been updated. Martin regrets that he is not as decisive as Allegra. If only he was more active, he would be dating Heather already. When even sims like Joshua, Jared and Ty have found someone, Martin can't stop questioning what's wrong with him. So basically Allegra and Jared's relationship made Martin feel quite lonely. He wanted to date Heather, but he couldn't. When everybody left the house, he invited his crush over and told her about his feelings, but he still couldn't make himself ask her to go steady and said goodbye to her pretty quickly as he feared Allegra's return. And he was probably right about doing so. Allegra missed Heather by bare seconds when she returned from her exam with another A+. Allegra's already a senior. I think she's moving too fast. As for Martin, he pretended that he'd been unclogging the toilet all that time. I thought that Jared was a changed man, but he was still fond of computer games and dreamed about buying a birdcage. Martin was reading a section on science and dreaming about his lover. Allegra is being quite selfish actually by not letting her friend date whoever he wants to. When Ty returned home, everyone gathered at the dining table and the unlikely couple began to torture poor Martin by talking about dating. Allegra even had the audacity to ask Martin why he wasn't seeing anyone. Doesn't she understand that Martin's heart is already taken? It's not that easy to control one's feelings towards someone else, Allegra. Probably this was exactly what Martin answered to her, but I don't think she got what he meant. Ty, of course, was mad at Gavin, who, according to Ty's logic, stole his boyfriend. Even when I checked his relationship panel, it showed that he was a lot more forgiving to Ashley's behavior. You're so naive, Ty. Martin called his twin brother Joshua to complain about his best friend Allegra, who was dating a parrot, but refused to let him date Heather. Judging by Joshua's reaction, he knew about Heather's reputation and sided with Allegra. It's already the second time someone has to unclog this toilet. What do you guys throw in it? Both Ty and Jared got a cooking skill point by watching TV, but Jared's class performance meter turned out to be broken. It refused to expand for some reason. As Ty was discussing Ashley's cheating with Custer, I was thinking about ways to fix Jared's meter. Apparently, Ty was feeling quite down after his recent misfortunes. He'd had a lousy party, his lover had cheated on him. How is he going to show his face on campus after all that? Don't tell me you've broken this toilet too! After midnight, Martin got the necessary logic skill point and Jared went to a community lot to create some graffiti. Actually, I just wanted to check if his meter was working on other lots. Maybe we can send him to his final exam from a public lot next episode. My suspicions proved to be correct. The meter was fully functional outside of Jared's home lot. And when Jared was leaving the place, I noticed Jimmy Phoenix and a bunch of dormies who were thinking about him. That must be because of his bad reputation. And at home, Jared's meter returned to its broken state. Ty started his next morning by watching TV, and Martin chose to do his assignment. Well, that's it for episode 18 part 3. As you can see, it turned out to be a lot shorter than all the previous uni episodes, and it also took me significantly less time to make it. So if this tendency continues, we are going to start round 2 in September. And for now, thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you weren't upset that it is shorter than my last videos. I actually prefer shorter videos myself, not only because of the amount of effort it takes, but also I feel like shorter episodes tend to be more dynamic. Anyway, see you in episode 18 part 4. Bye!